and this is where we talk about languages and language learning and all sorts of other stuff, and we play games. This is Elise with an update on the ongoing Inessa Armand translation project. We now have 37 of the 38 extant essays and speeches by Inessa Armand translated into English for the first time, and we are just short of the halfway mark on the fundraising progress as well. This enrichment of the English language Marxist canon has only been possible with your support, and it's been a real lifeline for me. So anyone who would like to support this project can find links in the description for how to do so, and everybody who has already supported it has my sincerest thanks. Perfect. Okay, 3 of 4. 還元一級の先というのは、本当に誰も知らない字ばっかりでしょうね。私は Okay, we've leveled up and it is time to pick another language. Mod för tröttare än vanligt. Maten är färdig. And let's see what we're doing when we get back. Greek. We're doing Greek when we get back. Ben neredeyse her gün okuladayım. Fun fact. Turkish. Hello, Shakespeare. How you doing? Fun fact, in Spanish, the word for bishop in chess is alfil. And that actually comes from Arabic. Fil. The same word fil as this. Meaning elephant, because the bishop traditionally was to represent elephant units somehow. Similarly, in Russian, the word for bishop is sword, and that also means elephant. Okay. This is Elise with an update on the ongoing Inessa Armand translation project. We now have 37 of the 38 extant essays and speeches by Inessa Armand translated into English for the first time, and we are just short of the halfway mark on the fundraising progress as well. This enrichment of the English language Marxist canon has only been possible with your support, and it's been a real lifeline for me. So anyone who would like to support this project can find links in the description for how to do so, and everybody who has already supported it has my sincerest thanks. Ça, c'est ça, que c'est ça, non ça, c'est ça, sol qui sa, che nulla sa, ne sa più di chi ne sa. Ecco. Bonjour et bienvenue à Hyper Polyglotting avec Élise. Moi, c'est Élise, traductrice, éditrice et écrivain avec 20 ans de travail. Et ça, c'est la transmission en direct ou en jeu des jeux, surtout GeoGuessr en dernier temps. Et parle des langues, de la linguistique, de l'acquisition des langues. 10-159. Haven't made a huge dent in it, but we're getting there. Okay, gonna do some Chinese now. Nej. Nej. Man. Igen. Jo. 5. Ducks are drinking wine. Bangba, okay, Bangbaz is duck. Okay, I have now leveled up. Let's see what the XP situation is now. 10,340 out of 12,500. And as always, viewers can choose my next language for me just with a follow and a $5 to my Patreon. Sotto le frasche del capanno 4 gatti grossi stanno. Sotto 4 grossi sassi, 4 grossi e grassi gatti. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré, des généraux dégénérés. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré, des généraux dégénérés. Ah sì, sì, ecco, la gente, è la cosa che mi dice la gente, sempre che scoprisce che quante lingue parlo, io sempre avevo l'impressione, diciamo, di che non era così, non era tan così, ma poi, dopo di aver visto qualche poliglota in YouTube, una delle cose che avevo scoperte era giustamente che la metodologia usata da quella gente poliglota che non avevo mai conosciuta prima, era più o meno la stessa metodologia che usavo io. I find a computer or what? And here's another example. I like to point these out. For this word for or, but sounds vaguely like Hogun and the Hok in Hogun in Korean or Waku in Japanese, and that appears it is the exact same kind of character.
Okay, let me see.
Un chasseur, sa son chassé, ses chassés sont son chien de chasse.
Der dicke Dach.
Okay, der dicke Dachdecker deckt dir dein Dach, drum dank dem dicken Dachdecker, dass der dicke Dachdecker dir dein Dach deckt. Hola y bienvenidos al directo de Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. Yo soy Elisa, traductora, escritora y editora y comunicadora social con más de 20 idiomas de trabajo. Y aquí vamos a estar jugando videojuegos, sobre todo GeoGuessr, y hablando de idioma, la mejor forma de aprenderlo y caleta más. Zwei Zwetschgenzweigen zwitscherten zwei tschechische Schwalben. Tres tristes tigres tragaban trigo en un trigal en tres tristes trastos. Oh, I see. This is Diche Ishai Fui, which means do you want food? But yeah, are you hungry? That kind of thing. How are the boys? Cocine da boy. Posso Milao. Pote. Buenas proteine. Totopolo. In the designated chicken eating area, obviously. Okay, still 3 times I have to defeat him. And I don't have a whole lot of health left. This is Elise with an update on the ongoing Inessa Armand translation project. We now have 37 of the 38 extant essays and speeches by Inessa Armand translated into English for the first time. And we are just short of the halfway mark on the fundraising progress as well. This enrichment of the English language Marxist canon has only been possible with your support, and it's been a real lifeline for me. So anyone who would like to support this project can find links in the description for how to do so, and everybody who has already supported it has my sincerest thanks.
Monsieur. Livre. Liwe, livre.
Box
Mustan kissan paksut posket.
Матяе.
Ja.
Pierre. C. Isopi. Матяе. Proč? Inter. Počkej. A. C.
Track 6.
Aspri petrax es aspri apton iliox ex asproteri. Aspri petrax es aspri apton iliox es asproteri.
Coginio panas.
Oh boy.
La ferra verda ferra ferda vetri.
Jacob.
Hefad. 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 Haq. Haq. Haq.
Саша по шоссе.
А Саша по шоссе несла сушку на счастье и сосала сушку. А Саша по шоссе несла сушку на счастье и сосала сушку.
معلمة.
Jumani mwalimu mke. Trakt.
Ирак чима в чипах чемп чавю ченчи чини. Чирак чима в чипах да, чирак чима в чипцах чемп чавю ченчи чини. Акакит альшит. Хикрин. Акакит альши хикрин. Oh, thanks to cat signs. Meow and the pictures of the fish. They were proud.
Sööpä. Kupu. Yrittävä. Uraista. Omena.
Hello and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise, this stream where we want to learn all the languages, really. I'm Elise, translator, writer, and editor with 20 working languages, and how's everybody doing, chat? As I just look through my collection of stuff to react to. Looks like Evil Dia, who we do look at a fair bit on this stream, has a 1,000-hour Dreaming Spanish review. I'm quite curious about that, so why don't we just start out with that as we ease into the stream. As usual, let me know if I need to make any audio adjustments. Oh, good, thank you. Yeah, I've been working on that for the past couple of days trying to get that out. That was from... The declaration was 2 days ago. Well, kind of the middle of the night 2 days ago. And I've been working on that since then. So, okay, it sounds like we might need a little boost to the speakers.
Back to the channel. I hope you're ready for the 1,000-hour Dreaming Spanish update. We are up to video 21 in this series.
One thing that was interesting, I have not spent a lot of time with like Bolivian Spanish, and there's an interesting feature in the accent that I think has to do with either Quechua or Aymara, where the R... The initial R sounds almost kind of like a Y. It took I had not actually heard that. I had not actually heard that sort of pronunciation before, And so that is just sort of an interesting linguistic feature I was noticing. I haven't seen that declaration translated into English anywhere, and in fact, I have not actually seen it written out in Spanish anywhere. I mean, he's reading from a written statement that they all agreed to, but I was looking through because I had trouble hearing him at some points, and was never able to find actually the full text of the thing, which made it really challenging to subtitle it.
Check this out. This has been going on for over a year. If you're wondering why this is video 21 now, it's because the first video was actually me just doing a react to someone who was promoting the Dreaming Spanish method. In fact, if you guys want me to do a react to my original video from 1 year ago with, you know, my 1,000 hours of input now, let me know down in the comment section. So, video 21, 1,000 hours. Look at this. Total input time, 1,000 hours. This bar is now disgustingly empty. Yesterday, right up to this point, it was all blue except for like a little black slither of pixels at the end there. And now I've just got this tiny little blue line.
So, it's interesting. Okay, they actually have a tracker. Interesting. Now, I'm curious. Dreaming. If they have... Okay, let me see. I'm curious to look at their guide about what 1,000 hours is supposed to mean. Because they are very specific about this, which is one of the things I advise taking with a grain of salt, because it's always going to vary from person to person based on things like native language, based on, you know, just like mental state while you're watching the stuff, all sorts of things like that. Let me see, our method. So I thought there was something in there that actually explained. I'm looking at their website, and I'm not finding what explains exactly what each number of hours is supposed to mean in terms of one's level. Well, I imagine he's gonna have something in there, so we'll just wait.
And so
it'll come up.
Starting again. We have just cracked into level 6. Okay.
Comfortable with daily conversation. Okay, that is their description. Which, like, I have to say, is kind of vague. I wonder if they have something more specific than that.
Okay, so, over the last couple of weeks, I've been smashing out the input, you know, day in, day out, watching goddamn content, nothing special to report there, up until about yesterday, where you can see suddenly, I don't know, I just stopped doing input. Why? Why did I stop doing input when I was at like 999 hours? Well, actually, I do know why. It's because I was doing collabs with other YouTubers. That's right. Other YouTubers have decided that they finally want to meet with me and talk with me in the real world. If you want to see one of those, I have a membership section on my channel right here. I interview Days and Words on language learning. And while I'm here, why not? I just promote it. I got a ton of crosstalk videos where I'm playing different video games with different YouTubers.
Yeah, we just watched the video he was talking about there.
Doing crosstalk with them. They speak Spanish, I speak English. Okay, let's get back to this. So 1,000 hours. What we're going to do is we're going to read the level 5 and the level 6 levels, okay? The reason being is because I just left level 5 and I've just entered level...
Okay. So level 5 is you can understand native speakers speaking to you normally. I mean, again, this is really vague, and this is exactly why I would say that it's a good idea to take these with a grain of salt, because it is very much going to vary from person to person. But alright.
6. But hang around until the end of this video, because at the end of this video, you are going to get me first doing crosstalk with another YouTuber, where we have a conversation in Spanish, okay? This is not me passively translating something I'm seeing on the screen. It will have subtitles, okay? So I will be basically having a conversation with this YouTuber about what he deems to be advanced topics, and we will see how well I understand. What words
okay, that should be interesting.
Understand what words drop, etc. And you guys can determine down in the comment section how good you think my listening is after 1,000 hours. And in fact, I encourage you all, be completely honest about how good...
Of course, the thing about this is that it's hard to judge these things based on watching somebody, because listening, whether you're comprehending the thing, it happens in your head. I mean, yeah, so, well, we'll see.
Good you think I am? Where am I on the
You can't really
European
see
framework of
listening.
reference when it comes to listening? I'm very curious to know about that. But in addition to that, I will be doing my first ever speaking session. Well, I've done it already. I've filmed it, okay? But you will be seeing it. We do speaking.
Okay, I'm gonna just skip ahead of this
600
intro.
hours, and I'm like, that seems it.
Okay, let me just read level 5. There is more detail. You can understand people well when they speak directly to you. They won't need to adapt their speech for you. Understanding a conversation between native speakers is still hard. You'll almost understand TV programs in the language because you'll understand so many of the words, but they are still hard enough to leave you frustrated or bored. Conversation can be tiresome, and if you try to speak, you feel a bit like a child, since it will be hard to express abstract concepts and complex thoughts. Okay.
Iffy, but you know what? Let's play it your way. Let's do that. We're going to read this, and let's see if this is true. Okay, so what you can do. You can understand people well when they speak directly to you. Well, I guess so. They won't need to adapt their speech for you. Watch my interview at the end. You will see.
I see. With Spanish, the thing about that is there are so many regional variants that people have to adapt their speech for native speakers of Spanish from other places. Like, yeah, I mean, a native speaker from Chile talking to a native speaker from Peru or from Colombia is going to have to adapt their speech, and vice versa to a certain extent.
Of speech, beyond a doubt, it happens. Okay, and also there are words I don't understand, and I ask the person I'm speaking with to use different terminology to explain that in order for me to learn, in order for me to just continue the conversation. So even at 1,000 hours, okay, my speech still needs to be adapted for me to understand it, and I still don't know enough words in order for me to be just to flow through a conversation.
Well, of course, that's going to depend on the topic as well. But, okay. I mean, and it's going to depend, is he just looking at Dreaming Spanish content is a question? Or has he started to branch out into other stuff? Because branching out into other stuff is important. Even before you feel comfortable understanding everything, just because you'll find interesting things.
Me speaking English.
And it will also be more helpful because their stuff is always going to be very much geared towards learners, and they're going to have, a limited range of options in terms of what exactly you're looking at.
By the way, okay, me speaking English with someone speaking to me Spanish. Understanding a conversation between native speakers is still hard.
Like, one thing I would advise somebody who is at the sort of kind of intermediate-y level to do would be to seek out how-to videos on things they already know how to do. Like, Evil D is apparently a programmer of some sort. I don't know exactly what kind of programming he does or whatever. He does. So, look for a basic-ass video on Python in Spanish or something like that. Because the beauty of that is you already know the stuff they're explaining to you. And so you can focus on how they're explaining it, and you pick up a whole lot of words and grammar and all the other things when you're doing it. Or, I don't know, a basic explainer on Esperanto in Spanish. I'm sure that exists. I've never looked for it, but I have a feeling somebody will have done it.
I will be honest, I haven't really listened to too many native speakers, having a conversation beyond, just in TV shows, but that's kind of scripted, so I can't really say, but I don't.
Well, if it's a good TV show and the acting is good, it is roughly equivalent, I'd say.
I'm going to be able to. You'll almost understand TV programs in the language because you understand so many of the words, but they are still hard enough to leave you frustrated or bored. I don't know. I can watch dub content in Spanish now pretty good.
Oh,
There's still a lot of words I don't know.
And the thing about dubbed content in Spanish, especially if it's Latin American dubbed, is it is this weird generic version of Latin American Spanish that nobody really speaks.
But I get enough of the gist that I can just power through and watch the TV show. Like, it's not that bad.
Okay, I mean, that's, I would say that's a good result, actually. That can take people a long time.
I don't get all the details. Let's just say I get the high-level discussion of what's happening, some details here and there, but, like, not on an individual line-by-line basis. I don't understand everything, okay? In fact, someone asked me about this in the Discord. It was David. David, if you're watching this. He asked me, what is my understanding? Because he listened to me, and he's like, you seem to have a really good advanced level of understanding, and I appreciate that, okay? But he asked me what it's like for me, my experience in my head. What's going on when...
This is important. This is... Because so much of when we talk about people's levels, and we talk about it in YouTube, it is geared towards a visual medium, because it is a visual medium. And so the internal experience often gets a lot of short shrift, when the internal experience is the key to all of it.
Is Spanish. I can hear all the words in the sentence and understand them all. But it's like I understand the image, the idea of the root of every word. But with Spanish, the endings of words determine their grammatical positioning and their purpose and their tense and all that type of stuff, okay? That part is a blur. I have no idea how that works, okay? So when I hear...
Well, there's knowing how it works and understanding it in situ. Those are two very different things.
All the words in the sentence, usually context tells me whether this is in past tense, present tense, future tense,
Okay, yeah. So then you're understanding the message, but not necessarily quite at the point of producing, is what that sounds like.
Someone's talking to me or you're talking to someone, like, I get all that, like, 90% of the time from context of the entire phrase, okay? And then the entire conversation on top carries a whole heap of context. So I understand the words because I understand each individual word within it, but the gluing of those words is a lot more dubious. Like, there's definitely still a lot of guessing that's happening, even though it's not intentional. I will hear something, I'll think, oh, this is what they mean. When actually, no, the grammatical markers or whatever in that actually make the sentence mean something else, but I don't know what they are. So imagine you took English, and someone gave you a full sentence in English, and they cut off all the grammatical parts of the sentence, like the ed at the end of the word. They cut all that off. They cut off the s. They cut off anything that is grammatical. And they gave you that full sentence. You, as a speaker of English, or even a high-level speaker, you can look at that and go, oh, I see what they're trying to ask. Because...
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on the sentence, though. Because the thing about English is there is actually a lot less agreement in English compared to Romance languages, like Spanish, for example. You would be losing a lot less information in English, I think, by taking off word endings than you would in Spanish.
It's like, it's obvious from context. But sometimes you're going to look at that and be like, wait, is this past tense or present or future? Like, I can't tell. And now it is actually important. That is my current state with Spanish, okay? I have no idea about the tense system and how it works. So, next it says, conversations can be tiresome. Now, if you're following the Dreaming Spanish method, it's not recommended that you actually speak until 1,000 hours, although you can, if you want, and you feel like it's good for you, at 600 hours, okay? So...
And again, these things should be taken with a grain of salt.
That's when they start saying, you can. If you want to speak, speak. However, I'm at 1,000 hours, and if by conversation you mean crosstalk, that's not tiring. I've got an entire series where I'm just playing games for hours with other YouTubers. Crosstalk is easy. I don't get tired. It makes no mental impact upon me whatsoever, okay? However, I did do, and you was...
Okay, I mean, that's already a good result.
At the end of this video, a conversation with a native. My head started to heat up after that, okay? Me trying to actually talk, that was different. I could feel the heat in my head start to kick in, and it reminds me exactly of every time I tried to speak a language when I learned a language via traditional methods or any other method. Like, it's the same type of process. It was
because you're just... the thing that's happening here is he's just really starting to do production, and he's not doing a whole lot of it. So, actually, so the first forays into that are always going to be challenging. Hello, River Rune, how you doing? That is always going to be challenging at the start. And especially if you have mostly done things that are quite passive. So it'll be interesting to see what that ends up looking like.
To start speaking, okay? And if you try to speak, you can feel a bit like a child, since it will be hard to express abstract concepts and complex thoughts. This part here, I feel like does not match up with the methodology at all. However, what I think has happened with Dreaming Spanish is the main...
I think what they're getting at is that since you're trying to explain you've had these things discussed without reference to your native language. And there are things that you can't really visually represent all that well. You are going to have... That is going to be somewhat challenging unless you actually just recognize exactly what the concept is already.
Major market for Dreaming Spanish is probably Americans. And most Americans studied Spanish at school, okay? But they felt like when they walked away from school that they don't understand anything about Spanish. They did 4 years or whatnot, but they can't use the language, they can't understand the language, they can't speak the language, and I get that. But then they go do 1,000 hours of input on top, and that basically grabs everything that they formerly studied and actually activates it all. And then slaps a whole heap of passive vocab on top of that. So when they do start speaking at 1,000 hours, they've got all of that they're pulling on, okay?
I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that they're assuming that the person starts from zero. But how you engage with the content matters a lot. What you're doing other than that matters, like in terms of what other sorts of content, what other sorts of input you're seeking out. All sorts of things, and they're trying to make an estimate that I think is also supposed to be encouraging. But they're trying to do this in a situation where it's really difficult to accurately estimate this sort of thing, because every brain's a little bit different.
And yeah, they're going to step away, or at 600 hours, they'll probably step away, speaking a bit like a child. Now, at 1,000 hours, with someone who's never studied this language prior to Dreaming Spanish, I can't do abstract concepts. No way in hell. I can't do complex thoughts. No way in hell. I am struggling to do the most basic of sentences. Watch the thing at the end of this video, the interview at the end of, or the collab at the end of this video. You will see most of the words used during daily conversation, but I can't use any myself. Well, any would be a kind of a lie. I can use some. If you try to speak the language, it will feel like you're missing many important words. However, you can often already speak with correct intonation patterns of the language without knowing why. Even make a
okay, it'll be interesting to see that
distinction between similar sounds in the language when you say them out loud. You will hear me when I start speaking.
Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead a bit. This is a fairly long video and a lot of intro.
Another, and by now you are already making complex phrases.
Okay, here's level 6. Ugh, car trouble on top of everything else. That's unfortunate.
I'll get your point across in one way or another. You could do this without speaking a language, Like, if you go to the bank, you can be like...
I think, yeah, but I think that they mean using words.
Have your pockets and you're like... like you
can... This is his 1,000 hour Dreaming Spanish review. It showed up in my Rex, and I thought that would sound interesting. And apparently, Elmo has Doritos, and...
You can do that
Bevy.
without a language, okay? So, like, that wording doesn't really mean much. But...
yeah, all those things.
Actually being able to speak about those topics, not true. At this level, for the first time, you start feeling like you're actually thinking about what you want to say and not about how you want to say it. And even though you may fall back on thinking about how you say things, especially in stressful situations or when feeling this is... I don't know who this is. Maybe this is Evil Deer at 1,500 hours, but
I mean, the part of the question, this is why I get... this is part of why... I mean, I've said this before, but... It really matters how you're actually engaging with it. Because I think when he's talked about this in other situations, it sounds like he sees this sort of as a memorization thing, and if he's approaching it as a memorization thing, he's not necessarily going to get the full benefit of these. But of course, it's also just true that these things, actually, people reach these levels at different points. It's going to, based on all sorts of factors, vary how, it's going to vary. And when you get to speech and production and stuff, it's going to emerge at different times for different people to some extent. And how quickly you progress from there will depend on all sorts of factors, including opportunities.
Evil Deer at 1,000 hours, that's for sure. Using humor in the language is much easier now.
Yeah, well, much easier than what, though? Much easier does not mean easy. That's kind of a weird state. Like, Dreaming Spanish, I would suggest revising that statement just because much easier than what?
You can understand TV shows about daily life quite well, 80-90%. See, this is what I don't understand. You can understand TV shows about daily life at 80-90%. That is true. At the 80% mark. Maybe not.
Okay, this is an interesting statement here. Shows about families, friends, etc. Unscripted shows will usually be easier to understand than scripted shows, as long as they are not too chaotic or rely too much on cultural knowledge. Thrillers and other genres will still be hard. See, if anything, I would have thought that scripted shows would be easier. I'm not sure what their thinking there is, because unscripted shows are more likely to be somewhat unpredictable. Depending on what we're talking about with shows. Like, are we talking... an unscripted show could be like a cooking show or something like that. And then it's quite predictable because they're going to cook a thing. But it could also be some sort of a chat show where, some like Jerry Springer bullshit, where you bring in some people, and then you bring in people, and then you find, like, whoever their, like, arch nemesis is, and then put them in a room, and then just kind of watch the sparks fly, and that could be challenging. That's, that's unscripted, but that would actually be more challenging, I think. Hej son! Det går bra. Ja, det har blivit en hel stund sen sist. Vi ser på Evil Deers recension ur 1000 timmar med Dreaming Spanish.
The 90%. But at the 80% mark, yeah, I can. So some of this is true. But anything about conversation...
Yeah.
...is just complete fabrication for me.
Okay, so I was mostly curious what they had to say there. Okay, okay, I'm curious about this. What do you need to do? Listen and read a lot. Okay, always. That's just always good advice, I think. Also, good idea to get massive input in authentic media via TV, podcasts, radio, movies, etc. Definitely agree there. If you can't find a lot of easy media in the target language, you may find that videos and audio for learners are still more efficient for acquiring new vocabulary until you get a bit better. And again, this is where I would say looking at materials that explain, that are explainers, basic explainers on things you already know about, are really good for this sort of thing. They're really good because you already know the thing. And so you can listen to how they talk about it, and you're going to understand way more than the target audience, just because the target audience is someone who doesn't know anything about the thing, and you already know about it. That is a piece of advice I would add to this. If your target language has many common words with a language you already know, you may be able to understand quite well things like TED Talks and university lectures. Yeah, this is one of the many factors that make these sorts of broad strokes about how many hours results in what level and everything a little bit difficult, because if you're a Portuguese speaker and you do Dreaming Spanish, you probably would not need anywhere near 1,000 hours to get to this, because there's just so much that is similar already. You know, because you already have a lot of just overlapping vocabulary to begin with, and and mostly what you're going to have to get used to is that, you know, grammatical structures are different, and the pronunciation is different, but you may be even used to that as well. Interessant, jeg hadde spansk I 3 år på ungdomsskolen og 2 år på videregående skole. I dag nådde jeg også 356 dager streak på Duolingo. Interessant. Hvilken slags spansk læres I Norge? Er det europeisk spansk, eller mer latinamerikansk?
It's also a good time to get massive input in authentic media, and be it TV, podcasts, radios, movies, etc. If you can't find a lot of easy media in the target language, you may find that videos and audios for learners are still more efficient for acquiring new vocabulary. Okay, skipping ahead because because he's just reading stuff that I just got read. Hello, Kodata Koopa. Am I pronouncing that correctly, first of all? I think it's the first time I've seen you in here, and if it's the first time, welcome. Always good to see new people. Always curious how people find me and from where as well. Well, welcome. We're just looking at this 1,000 hour. I haven't looked at any of his Dreaming Spanish reviews after a certain hour, and I was just curious how he does them and what he talks about, because there are lots of things around these sorts of approaches that you, the one hand, oh, you hope to become a polyglot and just looked up polyglot and you got me? Neat. That's cool. Is there any particular language you're working on at this point? Is there, or any language that you're considering learning? To my community in a video. Should I do shadowing in Spanish? Because I personally... You speak Nederlands? Or you're interested in learning it? I believe. Shadowing... Oh, that's one of the ones on the list. And where are you joining us from, if it's okay to ask? Would be the smartest move, okay? So you start shadowing stuff, that way I'm literally just training my mouth, especially on content I already understand, to now replicate what I can already hear and what I can already understand. It just makes sense to me. But I am... See, here's a little pro tip. If you're trying to, if you're looking to branch out after Dutch, Afrikaans is really easy if you're a Dutch speaker. There's a bunch of stuff you have to get used to, but vocabulary-wise, it is very similar. Like, I speak, I know Dutch, and without having studied any Afrikaans at all, I was already able to read it quite well, and then that is actually what led me to decide that I would want to learn it properly. Nå er det også vanlig å lære tysk og fransk, til og med kinesisk på skolen, men velger et fag og tillegg til engelsk på både ungdomsskole og videregående. Og hva med finsk eller meänkieli? Eller samisk? Testing Dreaming Spanish, and Dreaming Spanish says nothing about shadowing. And just for people who aren't following along in Norwegian, Eric Rødahl says, yes, we mostly learn European Spanish, but I think it depends a little bit who the teacher is. But the normal thing is still to learn European Spanish. And then adds, in Norway, it's also normal to learn German and French, even Chinese at school. You select a subject in addition to English, both at middle school and at high school. Turn up Evil Dia's audio. We're doing it. There we go. Let me know if it needs to go up or down or anything after that. So I thought, okay, what does ALG, which is what Dreaming Spanish based on, say about shadowing? And David Long, in this video right here, he basically looked at shadowing, or the concept of shadowing, and said, why would you do that? You do not need to do that. It's not part of the method. So I
Okay. Oh, this is... Oh, right, this is the interview in Comprehensible Tie.
asked my community, you know, what should I do? Should I do shadowing or not? Because Dreaming Spanish says nothing about it, and ALG seems to be against it. Now,
I mean, to me, the question is, are you already beginning to spontaneously form utterances and stuff?
if we go down into the comment section, we can read what my community believe. If you want to prove that an ALG doesn't work, at least not the way they say, don't do it. Now, I'm not trying to prove it doesn't work. I just want to give you guys a realistic insight into what you will come away of this.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do it, if the idea is to test it out exactly the way they say to do it, then I suppose not. But then on the other hand, if they don't say anything about it, then I would say it's neutral, and I'd just say whether you're doing it or not when you're doing the review. Like, I occasionally do repeat after Comprehensible Tie in their, when I'm watching their videos. Mostly sort of calling out stuff I understand. Sami is more normal in northern Norway, so I bet they teach it there. Same with Kvensk, Romani, and Skogfinsk. I think the languages are taught either at school or in home where the languages are spoken. I had asked about a couple of more minority languages spoken in the north. Well, one thing to keep in mind is that input is not equal to input. You have to find the exact right stuff. Now, that isn't as challenging as that can sound, but the point is you want stuff that'll hold your interest at the same time as it will give you enough to understand. Like, you want to... the method, well, comprehensible input does the thing that it does in your brain if you are understanding messages. So you need to be able to understand at least some of it. Though a lot of people, myself included, will say you get at least some benefit just by listening, even if you don't really understand it, because it helps you get used to the rhythms of the language, gets used to the sounds and stuff like that. So that is helpful even if you aren't actually understanding anything. But the key is you want to find stuff that you understand a fair bit of. And I imagine if we look around, there is probably... I imagine there's probably like Easy Dutch or something like that. Or Comprehensible Dutch. It seems like a language that people would have done.
If you don't have a background, I don't think you should do shadowing. You are testing whether someone can learn with DS method and how long it will take, which means you should try to have a similar experience of someone just following the DS method without adding anything else in, even if it's not harmful.
Yeah, I mean, especially if... One thing that is worth doing, for example, in terms of watching dubs, is if you know a movie or a show really, really well, like you can actually, where you can actually just recite dialogue, then that is probably a good one, because you will understand way more than you would just from the words alone, just because you already know what happens. So that can potentially be very helpful. And one thing to know about that is, like, if you look at, like, kid shows and animated stuff on Netflix, you get a much wider range of dub and subtitle options than a lot of the other stuff on there. Like, there are, I think, 15 different dubs for the Babysitters Club, for example. Ja, jag skulle säga att katalansk är ett mellomstadium mellan spansk och fransk. Det er lite fransk. Det har deler som er det er noe slik som kombinasjon. Jeg forstår katalansk uten problemer. Jeg har ikke noen muligheter til å prate på katalansk, men jeg kan forstå alt.
Or according to ALG. The problem with going the shadowing route is that people will think that was the reason your speaking improved and nothing new will be learned.
See, I don't think that it will make that much of a difference. If anything, it will make more of a difference when you get to the point where you're already, when speech is already emerging and you're just improving on speech. So I don't think it, I think, like, the way I would say it is, see it is, just disclose exactly how you went about it. They are agnostic on the subject, so why not?
Okay.
Oh, okay, here we go.
I said, hi Pablo, Evil D here. I'm at about 1k hours of listening with Dreaming Spanish and I want to transition to speaking. Reading part of the roadmap. Now this was 6 days ago, so maybe he's traveling, he hasn't read the email yet, but I haven't got a response.
Okay. It'd be interesting to hear that, since they don't say anything about it.
We have communicated before.
But I'm going to skip ahead.
Where I do crosstalk, set your PC, phone, and all online profiles to your target language. Make a list of daily things you do. Basically, live the language from this point on.
I wouldn't say all your online profiles, because there is some really bad localization out there where they have not relied on professionals or they have done just a sloppy job of it. And sometimes you can end up in a situation where either the words are wrong and you do understand it, but because you just know how it works, or the words are wrong and you don't understand it because you don't have the controls memorized, or you can handle it, but on the other hand you're going to learn totally the wrong word for a thing. So I would say it really depends on which profiles, and it also depends a bit on which language, because sometimes the language versions you find are better in some than others.
I speak, listen to videos. What I will be doing at this point is I'm going to move heavily into speaking, straight up speaking. But I will also move into reading subtitles from videos I already fully understand.
Oh, okay. I'd been wondering, well, because one thing that is really useful when you're doing this, when you're just engaging with input, and this is part of why it is important for that input to be as interesting to you as possible, is to go back over it, because you will almost always learn new things.
Now, I'm not going to shadow, so I'm not going to, listen to them and then repeat at the exact same time or repeat after them. I might watch the entire video, and then I'll go back to the beginning of the video, I'll put it on mute, and then I'll just hit play and I'll read the subtitle. Hit play and I'll read the subtitle. And that's what I'll do for the whole video. I think that's perfectly acceptable under the Dreaming Spanish method. There's nothing that says you can't do that. And
I mean, it's not a bad idea, because it will help you get your mouth around the words. Because there are two aspects to speaking. There is just the physical, muscle control thing that will improve as you do more of it. And then there is the back end aspect of being able to come up with the words that you need in the situation where you need them.
from what I can tell, a lot of people already kind of do that. So I don't think that's a problem. So that's what I'm planning to do. But for speaking, well, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using Worlds Across. Now, Worlds Across is a service that is super popular within the Dreaming Spanish community, okay?
This is with Spanish native tutors.
Okay, so let's just read it right here. Start speaking Spanish with unlimited online classes. Real life every day, hopefully, speaking Spanish with actual natives. Just
okay, so actually just chatting with people. Neat.
just smashing it as much as I can and hoping for the fucking best. Just YOLO this goddamn shit. If you guys
I may think this is not a bad idea at all.
Just about pricing, I'll go hit it over here. I'm actually under the premium plan, but for those who want to know, Worlds Across is now sponsoring the series in a way. What they're doing is they're just giving me complete access to their service completely free. So I will be using their service. Just be aware of that. I do want you to know that it is being given to me for free.
Oh, well, that's handy. But, okay.
Basically can. As basically Dreaming Spanish.
And I think I'm going to take a quick bio break before we move into the part that I'm really curious about, which is, like, actually just watching his level, watching him demonstrate it. But I will be back in just a few minutes to do that. Hi, and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. I am Elise, translator, editor, and writer with 20 working languages, and this is where we talk about languages and language learning and all sorts of other stuff, and we play games. This is Elise with an update on the ongoing Inessa Armand translation project. We now have 37 of the 38 extant essays and speeches by Inessa Armand translated into English for the first time. And we are just short of the halfway mark on the fundraising progress as well. This enrichment of the English language Marxist canon has only been possible with your support, and it's been a real lifeline for me. So anyone who would like to support this project can find links in the description for how to do so, and everybody who has already supported it has my sincerest thanks. Perfect. Okay, 3 of 4.
El hospital.
還元一級の先というのは、本当に誰も知らない字ばっかりでしょうね。私は Okay, we've leveled up, and it is time to pick another language. Morfar är tröttare än vanligt. Maten är färdig. And let's see what we're doing when we get back. Greek. We're doing Greek when we get back. Ben neredeyse her gün okula giderim. Fun fact. Turkish. Hello, Shakespeare. How you doing? Fun fact, in Spanish, the word for bishop in chess is alfil. And that actually comes from Arabic. Fil. The same word fil as this. Meaning elephant, because the bishop traditionally was to represent elephant units somehow. Similarly, in Russian, the word for bishop is skor, and that also means elephant. This is Elise with an update on the ongoing Inessa Armand translation project. We now have 37 of the 38 extant essays and speeches by Inessa Armand translated into English for the first time, and we are just short of the halfway mark on the fundraising progress as well. This enrichment of the English language Marxist canon has only been possible with your support, and it's been a real lifeline for me. So anyone who would like to support this project can find links in the description for how to do so, and everybody who has already supported it has my sincerest thanks. Ça, c'est ça, que c'est ça, non ça, c'est ça, sol chi sa che nulla sa, ne sa più di chi ne sa. Ecco. Bonjour et bienvenue à Hyperpolyglotting avec Elise. Moi, c'est Elise, traductrice, éditrice et écrivain avec 20 ans de travail. Et ça, c'est la transmission en direct ou en jeu des jeux, surtout GeoGuessr en dernier temps. Et parle des langues, de la linguistique, de l'acquisition des langues. 10-159. Haven't made a huge dent in it, but we're getting there. Okay, gonna do some Chinese now. Nej. Nej. Man. Igen. Ja. 5. Ducks are drinking wine. Bambas. Bamba, okay, Bambas is ducks. Okay, I have now leveled up. Let's see what the XP situation is now. 10,340 out of 12,500. And as always, viewers can choose my next language for me just with a follow and a $5 to my Patreon. Sotto le frasche del capanno 4 gatti grossi stanno. Sotto 4 grossi sassi, 4 grossi e grassi gatti. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré des généraux dégénérés. Un généreux déjeuner régénéré des généraux dégénérés. Facile. Sì, ecco, la gente... è la cosa che mi dice la gente, sempre che scoprisce che quante lingue parlo. Io sempre avevo l'impressione, diciamo, di che non era così, non era tan così, ma poi dopo di aver visto qualche poliglota in YouTube, una delle cose che avevo scoperte era giustamente che la metodologia usata da quella gente poliglota che non avevo mai conosciuta prima, era più o meno la stessa metodologia che usavo io. I buy a computer or what? And here's another example. I like to point these out. For this word for or, but sounds vaguely like Hogun and the Hok in Hogun in Korean or Waku in Japanese, and that's because it is the exact same kind of character.
Okay, let me see.
Un chasseur, ça change chasser. Ses chassés sont son chien de chasse.
Der dicke Dach.
Okay, der dicke Dachdecker deckt dir dein Dach, drum dank dem dicken Dachdecker, dass der dicke Dachdecker dir dein Dach deckt. Hola y bienvenidos al directo de Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. Yo soy Elisa, traductora, escritora y editora y comunicadora social con más de 20 idiomas de trabajo. Y aquí vamos a estar jugando videojuegos, sobre todo GeoGuessr, y hablando de idioma, la mejor forma de aprenderlo y caleta más. Zwei Zwetschgenzweigen zwitscherten zwei tschechische Schwalben. Tres tristes tigres tragaban trigo en un trigal en tres tristes trastos. Oh, I see. This is Diche Ishai Fui, which means, do you want food? But, yeah, are you hungry? That also. How are the boys? Cocine da boy. Posso Milao. Pote. Buenese. Proteine. Udros. Protopulo. In the designated chicken eating area. I am back, and I have a nice cup of tea. Oh, I see we have more people have shown up. Welcome to the, I guess, 2 new people who showed up while I was on break. I'm sitting here thinking, since the way I end up speaking other languages on this channel is mostly I randomly break into them when somebody shows up in chat. At some point I ought to go through my like my back catalog and just clip those things and just throw together like a montage of me doing that at some point. Hello, Joe LA 7430, or is it Jola or Joella? I like to make sure I pronounce these things correctly. Welcome. We were just about to watch what I think is actually going to be the most interesting part of this, which is where we get to see how well he's comprehending things in real time. This, for anyone who just got here, is the 1,000 hour Dreaming Spanish review that he's doing.
Recommends. So, now comes the part you've all been waiting for.
Yeah, quite right. That is the part that I've been waiting for.
Moment, you're basically going to see me interacting with natives using the language. Let's begin.
¿Cómo estás, Ricardo? ¿Todo bien?
Yeah, I'm good. So the plan was we were going to do some crosstalk and talk about gaming, but I guess we already started. So yeah, just hit me with some gaming stuff and like keep pushing it and making it harder and harder for me. So
Joel A. Okay, perfect.
my viewers can figure out where I failed at Spanish.
Perfecto. Ok. Estoy pensando en hacer algunas preguntas.
Okay. Sounds Caribbean. I'm trying to place his dialect. So dialect. So definitely Latin America. I'm possibly Venezuela.
Que son interesantes de responder y me interesan.
Okay.
Me interesa saber la respuesta. Por ejemplo.
Okay, and now I'm immediately thinking twice about Venezuela, because that actually sounded very much like Spain.
Mm-hmm.
¿Cuál es el videojuego que más horas tenés dentro? ¿No?
Más horas. Tenés vos. Okay.
El videojuego que más jugaste en términos de horas, días, etc.
Okay. So let's see how well he does with that. He has a look of great concentration.
Oh, okay. That is hard because when I was a kid, that was different to when I was in my 20s. So when I was a kid, that was Perfect Dark, the game.
I'm doing. I can't resist drinking the tea even when it is too hot to drink.
Oh.
I played that game with my brother every single day.
I missed what game it was.
It was in my hard because when I was a kid, that was different to when I was in my 20s. So when I was a kid, that was Perfect Dark, the game.
Perfect. Okay, I've never heard of it.
I played that game with my brother every single day until the point where we hated it. But
That reminds me, I don't know if people saw this, but a sequel, a very long-awaited sequel to an Atari 2600 game just came out recently. The guy who developed the original retired, and he decided to get back to it, and he has now released, I forget what the game was, but he just now released it. So if you've got an Atari someplace, there's a new game for it, strangely enough.
we also loved it at the same time. So it's like, we got so good at that game that there's like a co-op multiplayer mode where you verse the AI and you put the AI on like this extreme level of intelligence where they just one-shot everything, and we were beating it. That's how much we played it. And we burnt out the controller in our joystick. Yeah.
Holy shit.
We went through several joysticks in the Nintendo 64.
¿Qué es lo que más valoras de una amistad?
So what is it that I value the most of what?
De una amistad, de un amigo, de una relación
okay.
entre amigos.
Okay, now this is definitely Spain. And okay, this is an example of difficulty with abstract content because he said amistad, which is friendship, but that amistad forms in a somewhat irregular way as far as abstract concepts in Spanish form, is because you have this st on there. So I'm actually not entirely surprised that was initially a challenge there.
It's hard to say that. I guess loyalty, in a way.
Ujú.
That would be what I'd probably value the most. 'Cause
Everybody is speaking fairly slow for him, but he understood everything except the last word, which is not
So if
bad.
they stab you in the back, they're not very good friends.
Ujú. ¿Eres una persona de tener muchos amigos o pocos?
No, not many. Very,
No,
very
pocos.
few.
Ok.
Yeah.
Australia es como la versión tercer mundo de Inglaterra.
Weón, la versión tercermundista de Inglaterra, weón. Okay, that's a. Let me just listen to how he said that linguistically, because I'm curious if he gets this straight off, then he's doing well.
Australia es como la versión tercer mundo de Inglaterra.
So Australia is internationally known as a first world country. It's very rich, but there are portions of Australian society that are completely broke and have no money. And I grew up in one of those.
So okay, he got it first off apparently. So I mean, I would say that's pretty good, because that's actually a kind of a challenging question. For one thing, you have to know the ordinals, and those aren't always quite intuitive in Spanish, like tercer, tres, tercer, etc. And understand the third world version, because the word order changes completely. And this is also, I mean, it's actually a fairly complicated sentence structure grammatically. And this is what I keep coming back to, because you will see Evil D, and other people say this. They'll be like, you don't get any grammar when you're doing input. But the thing is, you're getting the grammar. What you're not getting is the terminology to describe exactly what's going on. But there was a lot of grammar going on in that sentence. La versión tercer mundo de Inglaterra. So you have to, so the grammar there is that you're actually using, first of all, it's all right branching. The modifiers are coming after. And he avoided tercermundista, which would be sort of the more adjective form. But you could also do la versión tercer mundo and kind of use a noun as an adjective in that sort of a way sometimes. With la versión. So actually, I mean, there was a lot of grammar in there that he was able to get.
Portions where people were like living in caravans and that was basically it. We lived in the caravan and we're in a caravan park, and we had to change caravan parks like quite often, otherwise, because these are like public parks, you're not meant to stay there permanently. It's meant to be for holiday makers, but anyone who's poor just gets like a poor caravan, they put them there, and then eventually they throw you out. They're like, hang on, you're not actually on holiday, you're just living here. So
Living the dream.
it's basically, it's kind of like the third world of Australia.
¿Cuál es el mejor consejo que te han dado?
So what is the best something?
Okay.
Consejo. Consejo.
Consejo.
Consejo.
I can't figure out that word.
Yeah, an abstract concept again. Actually, I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad he went over the detailed the detailed description, because once again, it's abstract concepts that 2 out of 3 times have given him trouble. Consejo and amistad. Both. But then versión tercermundista is also, that's a very abstract, but he got that straight off, I think. So actually, I mean, in terms of comprehension, I would say he seems to be doing quite well.
I don't know what that word is.
Vale, te lo explico. Un consejo es cuando, por ejemplo, tu padre te dice, Richard,
Mhm.
no juegues con fuego. Porque te puedes
Ah.
quemar la mano si juegas con fuego.
Okay,
Eso es
I
un
understand.
consejo. Eso es un consejo.
Okay. Okay, so what was the original question again?
¿Cuál es el mejor consejo que te han dado?
Okay, so would this be one that I got from someone else, or I should give away?
No,
Well,
que
I
alguien
should give.
te ha dado a ti.
Okay, the best one.
Ujú.
Okay.
Um,
And the challenge, part of what's challenging there is Spanish does, and Spanish isn't alone in this, does this kind of passive voice thing. Spanish doesn't really use the passive voice as much as English does. Like, so we would say the best piece of advice you were given. But the literal translation of what he said is the best piece of advice, the best advice that they gave you. They is not really they. They is just anybody. It is just thrown in there as a sort of throwaway null subject kind of situation. And so, I mean, that is also an abstraction. It is an abstract somebody.
maybe just don't listen to others. Do what you want to do with like your life.
Ujú.
That would be maybe the best.
Suena bien. ¿Y quién te dio ese consejo?
Okay. Plan for the future, but don't expect that your plan
Yeah, he didn't get that question there.
will actually be fulfilled.
No
That would
entendió.
be what I would give.
Ok, pero ¿quién te dio el primer consejo? El
who?
de...
That was
Sí,
my
sí,
dad.
sí. ¿Quién? ¿Tu padre?
Yeah.
Ah, ok,
Yeah.
ok.
Okay, so
¿Y
he
tu
ultimately
consejo?
he got it when it was repeated. Because he didn't actually change the way he asked that there. So when it was repeated, he caught it. He was expecting I think what happened there is he was expecting one thing, so he was all primed to answer that, and then the question was something else.
¿Sería cuál? ¿Qué consejo darías tú?
So if I had like a kid or something, I would say, try to plan for the future, try to make plans, but understand that, plans usually fall apart. But at least try to plan. That way you don't end up in a place in life where you're like, how did I get here?
Ujú. Es buen consejo, tío. Es un buen consejo.
Oh god, that was very Spanish there. Un buen consejo, tío.
Horas en español, Evildea. Necesito, hacer la pregunta. La pregunta que todos quieren saber. ¿Sos oficialmente?
Sos, okay. He's from a Vos place, but he throws English. There's a bit of Spanglish going on. Central America is my guess now. Hello again.
Un hiperpolíglota.
Un hiperpolíglota.
I don't even claim Spanish as a language I speak because, well, we're about to find out. I don't speak it yet. So like, I don't even claim Spanish. Like, realistically, if anyone asks, I say I'm fluent in Esperanto. And yesterday, I did a collab with another YouTuber. I met up with her. She speaks Chinese fluently. And, like, I had a conversation in Chinese pretty much most of the day with her. So I feel like I can claim Chinese at least, at a conversational level now.
Okay, so that was the crosstalk section. We're going to skip ahead because I believe he's actually... Okay, here we go. He's actually going to talk. We're going to see how this goes. I mean, this would be the most challenging.
¿Cuál es la mejor serie de Martin Crack?
I don't even know who the hell that is. Chat, who is Martin Crack? Is that a person?
La mejor serie de Martin Crack es
Sure.
That's very Argentine the way he say sure.
Sure obid.
Bien, 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 bien.
Forgotten.
Muy cerca. Yo olvidé. Well, that's pasado. Olvidé.
Olvidé. Es nombre.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one with the zombies in it. And God, all these words are right on the edge of my brain, but I just can't pull them. Okay, Shamo Evil Deer. Sure. Quiere.
Weón, la pronunciación argentina, weón. Yo me llamo Evil Deer. Yo me llamo Evil DH.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently he has occasionally seen me. So if you're watching Evil Deer, lean into that. Do Argentine Spanish. Like really, you have to kind of choose a regional variant at some point because there are so many of them, and you can't really flip between them too much. And that's just a really cool one, and you've already got the shot.
Jugar. Juego con tú.
Contigo. Ajá.
Contigo. Okay. Yeah.
Sí, bien.
That's,
Muy bien.
Muchas gracias.
Italian, English, Italian, Irish, Guarani, Russian, Maori, Xhosa, Arabic, Cherokee. Oh wow, you really do want to learn all the languages there. Well, let's see. Of those, I speak Italian. That is one of my working languages. I know a wee bit of Irish. I did some of the Guarani on Duolingo, and I remember absolutely. I remember, I think, was the word for book, amunye, and that's it. Russian was actually the first foreign language I ever taught myself. Maori, I know kia ora. Xhosa, I've learned a bit of, but actually of the Nguni languages of South Africa, the one that I know better is isiZulu, and that isn't saying much. And Arabia. Like, I can understand a fair bit of Arabic these days. I definitely wouldn't say I speak it, but I can kind of get by. Cherokee is one I've also been very curious about.
Horde. Opada.
Very diverse range there.
Ashuda?
Sí, muy bien.
Ashuda. Yeah, you got the Argentina thing going on. Lean into it, do it. Like, watch lots of Argentine content. Yeah, that would be just wild if, like, a couple of years from now he'd turn it on and he's like speaking totally Argentine Spanish. It's like sounding like God, who's the lead singer from Las Manos de Filippi?
No idea if that's working.
No, Japanese came a little bit later. Yeah, just a few years later. Russian, I started to take an interest in when I was like 5. I saw the Russian alphabet. Yeah, it was in this table on the last page of this 1966 Random House dictionary that I had in my room, and I thought the alphabet looked really cool. And I was like, okay, I want to learn everything about that. Which in the 1980s in the US was not easy, because it wasn't exactly brimming over with Russian language resources in the 1980s in the US. But we paid a visit to Chicago at one point, and in this bookshop in the Sears Tower, as it was still called at the time, I still call it that now. Fuck, I don't know who the hell Willis is, but it's the Sears Tower. there was Russian in 10 Minutes a Day, that series, and I like absolutely had to have it, and my mother bought it for me, and I covered the house in stickers with Russian words for things. I believe, yes. My first words in Russian were "Это суп. Я хочу супа." That is soup. I want soup. Because that was like the first phrase in Russian that book teaches you. Faroese is one I'm curious about. Icelandic is a language I'd actually like to learn. I can kind of, when I read it, I understand a fair bit. But I spent a day in Reykjavik in between flights. I decided to actually have the longest possible stay over without actually having to book a separate ticket. And so I got 18 hours in Reykjavik, and I couldn't do anything with with Icelandic, but I could read it halfway decently. Because, if you know a lot of Germanic word roots, you can start to work out, when you look at a word like "venuleast," which is like the very officious way of saying please that you see on official notices, like the bus ticket machine and stuff.
I have no idea what else to say.
Yo quiero jugar FPS. Yo pensé.
Okay.
Pensé qué cosa?
Yo pensé. Yeah, I don't know how to say. I don't even know how to say zombie.
Zombie. Yeah, that's an easy one. Es lo mismo. Es lo mismo. Zombie.
Depende. Puedes decir zombie o zombie.
Zombie?
Yeah, o zombie. Sí. Depende
Okay. Yeah. This is interesting. I seem to be even doing worse with gaming terminology than just with normal words outside of gaming. I thought I'd do better with gaming.
¿Cuál es tu color favorito?
Verda. I think.
¿Verde? ¿Como este? ¿Verde?
Yeah. Yeah, yes.
Verde, que te quiero verde.
Verde.
Okay, so that was interesting. Let's see what else we've got in here. There's an inside joke amongst Norwegians that Icelandic is like Norwegian, but you put ur, like utgangur. Yeah, actually, you can get pretty far with that. Because that is just the masculine noun ending. Yeah. And I've noticed, that Bergen is like Norway's Denmark. It's like the people of Bergen seem to speak Norwegian, almost as if it's Danish. Like the vowels are still Norwegian, but everything else is Danish. Okay, let's see what else have we got in here. I have tons of stuff that I've never really looked at. My favorite Turkish word to both say and write is ilişkilendirebilir. Related, yeah. Not Norwegian. Turkish does allow you to stack words forever. Okay. I thought we might look at something from Understand Thai. because they do a really good job of this of like beginner level content, and I figure talking about why it's good is not a bad idea. I mean, and Kru Ying is she's just a pleasure to watch. So we're gonna check this out. I'm gonna drop the link in chat in just a sec.
อวัยวะ
Oh, this is a very short one too. Something very Picasso. Yeah, and the R also sounds very Danish, I thought. Because I've been watching, you know the show Vak Veum? The detective series, which is on Netflix in the US. And everybody's in Belgian. And, like, the accent sounds to me more like, Danish. Like, the R's, there's a lot of stuff that sounds very Danish, from, from there. From Agder? Yeah. It seems like Danish is, like, barely, like, Norwegian you could really count as multiple languages in a trench coat. Oh, this is a really short one. Okay. So...
ภายนอก พาร์ท 1 หน้า หน้า หู หู ผม ผม คิ้ว คิ้ว
Those are some Ben Shapiro eyebrows.
ตา ตา จมูก
Ah, okay. This is unlike literally anything else I've seen of hers. But it's also a very short video. Let me see. Maybe there's something else. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is Danish, German, and French R. It all derives from Paris. I never would have guessed. Let's see. Oh, this could be interesting. This is from Yurugengo Radio, and it is talking about the weird way that the kanji ben, as in bengo, bento, kaben, chosei ben, has way too many meanings. I thought maybe we could look at that a little bit. I put that because the explanation will surprise you. This is a channel that is like a podcast about random things about the Japanese language, and it is occasionally quite entertaining and interesting. So I kind of had this one in there to look at some point.
ゆる言語学ラジオ。これまでゆる言語学ラジオで多義語。
So on the left we have Horimoto-san, who is listed. He's described as a linguistics noob, and then we have Mizuno-san on the right, who is described as a language nerd. Oh, Hindi is a fun one. I like Hindi. I don't really speak it, but I can say enough things in Hindi to like really surprise Hindi speakers.
について扱う回何回かありましたね。すごい初期の頃にね、英語のスプリングが
yes, they've done a number of videos on how English words have a really random range of meaning.
バネ、泉っていう全然関係なさそうな意味を持ってるの。これなんでなのかって話しましたよね。
ありましたね。
その時の説明覚えてます？
なんだっけ？なんか生き生きとして飛び跳ねるみたいなイメージじゃなかったっけ？
あ、そうですね。おっしゃるように、まあ春ってのは生物だとか植物がそうやって芽吹く時期だし、バネってのもこうビヨンと飛び跳ねるイメージだし。
Yeah. So he's just explaining right now just why spring has all these weird meanings, and it has to do with things jumping out, living things.
奏でるっていうような意味があるからなので楽しいと確か無関係だったはずです。
音を楽しむから音楽じゃないんだね。
はい、だったはずですけれども、今回考えたいのがですね、お弁当の弁の字ですね。
Yeah, ben. This character, you see it. Okay, it can mean dialect. It can mean like all sorts of things to do with speaking and rhetoric. But then it can also refer to valves. And then bento, like the lunchbox thing, and numerous other things beside. And the explanation for why this is will surprise you.
こいつ、すごい多義的なんですよね。ちょっと熟語いくつか考えてみましょうか。弁の字が入る熟語どんなのがありますか？
弁護士。
弁護士。
Lawyer, bengoshi, like literally, ben, in this case, is talking, dialectics, go is to defend or protect, and she is a person who does a thing, basically, here.
はい。
でも、お弁当と違うな、これ。
お弁当と違うね。
本当だね。
But then bento, like the lunchbox, and what do these things have to do with each other?
あとは、磯弁ね。
あ、磯部揚げの。
Dialect.
それじゃなくて、居候弁護士のこと。
磯弁ね。
ボス弁と、磯弁って言ったりしますよね。
はい。
これ全部弁護士。
弁護士から離れてみましょうか。
弁護士ばっか出てくるの。小竹正義官。
うん。それ弁論なんだから。ずっと弁護士なんだよな。例えば、物壊しちゃって、それを償う時の弁償とか。
弁償, which refers to like compensation, and then there is bensite, which is like to satisfy a debt, and that is the same ben somehow.
弁済。
は
Oh, you just said it.
だから
Yeah.
A と B ってものは全く違うものなんだっていう時に、
弁別。
弁別とか。
言いますね。
When two things are completely different, benbitsu. I mean, this is just great. If you're looking for Japanese vocabulary as at least an intermediate level learner, you will pick up a lot because they're always talking about words.
言いますね。それから、よく血が回るなお前っていう時に、弁舌とかね。
言いますね。
言いますし、あとそれから、花びらのことを花弁って言ったり、
本当だ、理科で習うね。
調整弁の役。
Yeah, an adjustment valve. Their the same character is a valve. Because the thing is with Chinese loanwords, and these are all Chinese loanwords. The way you can tell that they are different words is that they're written differently, even though they're pronounced the same way. It's a different character. So it is weird when you have the same character and this wild range of meaning.
っていう時にも弁って出てきますね。
ああ、そうだわ、あるある。心臓の弁が病気に
Yeah,
な
a
って、
heart valve.
うまく機能しないとか言いますもんね。
そうですね。はい。では、今上がった熟語の核となるイメージは何ですか？
うわ、むずい。なんかさ、でも結構おしゃべりっぽいやついっぱいあったイメージなんだよ。
はいはい。
だから、おしゃべりでいけるなーって。
弁語、弁舌とかね。
弁論とかね。はいけるんだけど。
Yeah, so talking.
で、あとあれだ、弁償とか弁済もさ、なんかその裁判っぽいから、なんかその口論の末にたどり着くものみたいな、イメージでくくれるかなって一瞬思ったけど、弁当意味わかんないね。
Yeah. Bento, like nothing about that actually immediately says lunch. I mean, a bento, the word is used in English anymore. You can get like a bento box. I mean, the first thing there, the first character is this this character that just means everything. Like, I mean, has so many such a wide variety of meanings. And then to is ataru, and it can mean like a direct hit on something, or that is something is equivalent or fair or reasonable or more or less accurate or like a million things. But so you combine valve dialectics with fair, accurate, and somehow you get lunchbox out of that. And watashi datte wakaranai no yo. Like, so I'm really curious. Is Mizuno-san going to explain how we get bento? Because I want to hear that explanation.
と意味わかんないですね。
花弁も意味わかんないな、花びら。
花弁謎ですね。
あとその調整弁もよくわかんないし。はあ？
あとあれもありますよ。
I mean, I can tell you part of the reason that there's such a wide variety. This is simplified Japanese kanji. After World War II, they did a major simplification of kanji. And what a lot of Japanese people also don't know is that sometimes the simplification involved collapsing multiple very complicated characters into one character. And ben is the prime example of this.
ね、弁髪みたいな。
弁髪弁髪って
中国の髪型のね、弁
the haircut 弁髪
髪とかもありますけどね。
Okay, I didn't even know that
なん
one.
かわかりました。裁判です、核となるイメージ。
核となるイメージは裁判。
裁判です。
うんうん。
そのやっぱさ、バルブのさ、調整弁がさ、壊れてたりしてさ、
バルブ
で損害が出たらそれ裁判になるじゃないですか。その弁も裁判だし、
弁当は
社会的事件なんかはね、弁護士さんが手弁当で弁護したりするから、その、
手弁当
弁当の弁です、
手弁当の弁
裁判の、手弁当でやる裁判の弁です。
なるほど。
そういうこと。
ヘーゲルの弁証法とかのあれは
Yeah, Ben Shouho is dialectic. So he's brought in Hegelianism. Ben Shouho, so ben in this case is ben as in like talking. Shou is proof. And ho can mean law or it can mean method. Ben Shouho is dialectics. Hegel no Ben Shouho, Hegelian dialectics. So, and this fits in with one of the meanings that they're talking about, which is something to do with talking and arguing.
あるね、まあでもそのヘーゲルの弁証法は正しいのかっていう裁判とかできるから学級裁判みたいなことできるからさ。
学級裁判
それですよね。
弁別は
でその裁判みたいなところで分けるから A と B は一緒か違うのか徹底討論みたいなことできるから、うん、裁判です。
なるほど。まあこれで納得した人はね、おそらく日本中に一人もいないだろうと。まあそうだね。
He just said, so he was just trying to come up with some explanation that made sense. Horimoto-san was trying to come up with an explanation that somehow made sense of all this. And Mizuno's like, yeah, okay, so probably not a single person in Japan was convinced by any of that just now.
俺も納得してないからね。
Yeah, and Horimoto says, it doesn't convince me either. Which...
辞書で引いてみましょう。
ああ、そうそうだ。
弁の字をね。
そういう時引いたらいいんですね。
はい。ということでね、諸橋大緩和の4巻持ってきましたので。
Oh, wow.
はい。
で、
that is the like Lux dictionary. That is the high-end Japanese dictionary. Yeah, so 初項大緩和。
何それ？はい。むっちゃでかい本だ。
諸橋大緩和。
諸橋大緩和っていうの？
And this is just one volume. It's a multi-volume set.
俺もっとなんかさ、気楽な漢和辞典想像してたんだけど、ごっついね。
これが漢和辞典の中の大辞典ってやつですね。だから日国に相当する国語辞典っていうもので、全12巻プラス作品
量すご
っていうものの
12 volumes. Holy shit.
まあ4巻に弁の字が載ってるんで。
And then there's an index. There's 12 volumes and then there's an index.
見てもらいましょうか、堀本さんにね。
はい、重っ。この時点重いっす。取り回しが悪い。
取り回しが悪い。
もっとコンパクトなやつ持ってき
て。He's like, you can't carry this around. Okay. Yeah.
できてほしかったな。
諸橋大緩和に対して。
諸橋大緩和はちょっと重いっすね。
はいはい。
俺 NG かも。
なんて意味が載ってます
?1 番、冠。
冠。
2番。
冠, which is a thing that you can put on the top of something, and in the world of kanji, refers to elements of a kanji. Motteru, Brian's got this dictionary. Kammuri is also like a bit in kanji that comes on top, like ukammuri.
早い
って意味もあるのか。
3番。
Apparently it also means fast. Like they did not even cover all of the random ass meanings that this kanji has. 恐れるおののく。
恐れるおののくは4番打つ5番地名
A place name.
6番に至っては読めません。
he can't even read definition number 6 because it's a kanji he's never seen before. So you actually probably need a different you need the index volume of this dictionary in order to read this definition.
これ何むず何
ちなみに言うと、弁の字を冠で使う事例は、部弁っていう熟語がある。
ブ弁聞いたことねえわ。
武士の部に冠を指す弁ですね。これ小型辞典でも、この武士とか武人を指す。
This is the small dictionary.
っていう風に、
本当だ。
部弁は載ってるので。
No, this small dictionary is about as thick as that volume right there, except it's only the only one. See, I actually have to say I like the thick-ass paper dictionaries. Like, I have the kanji, I have the Kojian, and I have the kanji kente kanwa jiten. And I love the kanji kente kanwa jiten, which is for specifically the kanji proficiency test. Because it's just, there's so much interesting information. And I also have the yoji jukugo jiten. I should do like a review video of those because they're just wonderful references. I love references where you look at it and you can just tell that a whole bunch of people all wanted to figure out just how to manage to pack as much information as possible and then make it as user-friendly as possible despite the massive information density. Those are beautiful reference works. And I love them. And sometimes I will just grab the kanwa jiten and just leaf through it and just look for random characters.
一応冠の意味を持つ弁の用法は現代に残ってるものはあるっちゃあるんですが、弁護士とか勘弁とか弁別とか、
勘弁、いや勘弁してくれんの勘弁。
全然
なんかよくわかんなかったね。
載ってなそうですよね。
結局ね。
一応諸橋来緩和にはこの弁の字を使う熟語も載ってるんですけど、その全然僕らが知ってるような熟語載ってないわけです。
本当だ。
Wait. He's saying, okay.
あ、一番最初に紹介されてる熟語がさ、
はい。
This isn't even complete?
弁英。
弁英ですか？
糸編
なんだそれ。
に旧字体の桜の右側。
あ、はいはいはい。
見たことない
です。So, that was just interesting because of the way he described this kanji here, this A. Because he was like, you have the itohan, that is the left part, which means thread. And then the right is the right, he goes, the right side of the old form of the character for Sakura, for Cherry Blossom. Because this is one of the things, this is one of the challenging things beyond just knowing kanji in Japanese, is you have to know how to describe them. Which means being able to describe the individual elements. And that is not really something I find that a lot of the teaching materials for foreigners really do. It's like they kind of figure, you know, you're doing well to even be able to work with kanji at all, let alone be able to come up with ways to talk about them.
僕が。
まあそうでしょうね。
意味としては冠の紐。ピンとこんな。
みたいなね。
1個目これ ?1 個目に載せる熟語これ
何載せてほしかった？
やばくない？いや、でも弁護とか載せてくれよ。
そうだよね。
何弁英って。
載ってないんですよ。
初手弁英じゃないだろ、絶対。センスないんじゃないですか？
おい
センスないんじゃないこの辞典作った人。
諸橋
さん。諸橋さんちょっといまいちかも。ちょっと古いかも。
諸橋、not チョコ。
やっぱ、Z 世代の感覚とか入れてもらってもいいかも。
Okay. So we're gonna skip ahead because
の弁かな？
そうですね。2番目の意味は花びらという意味だと。
Oh, we're not actually done with the meanings of it. Okay. わきまえる、分ける、処理する. So, like, to comprehend something, or, like, accept it. To divide things up, to process a thing. 弁証、弁別、名番。花びら、また液体や気体の出入りを調節するもの。そんなこと合わせてるわけはないは何なんだろう。弁膜、過弁、安全弁。
過弁だ。
過弁ですね。また液体や気体の出入りを調整するもの。
調整弁の弁ですね。
はい。で、3つ目の意味は語るとか話すとか述べるとか。
弁護士とか弁論の弁だ。
はい。とかまた言葉遣いってあるので、例えば名古屋弁とかの弁も多分そういう。
Yeah, like it also means dialect, which is also, you know, to do with talking. And then kammuri, which is a thing that goes on top of you.
ね。ということで、大きくこの4つの意味があり、それがそれぞれの熟語に使われてるんだという説明があったんですね。で、ところで、わきまえると、花びらと、語ると、冠に共通するその核となるイメージを考えたいわけです、僕らは。
わからん。
何ですかね。
Yeah, he's asking what is the mental image that you come up with that brings all these things together, and Horimoto-san says he can't think of anything. Yo kanji yo me. Yeah, exactly. That I did the reason I already know the answer to this is because of the kanji kente kanwajiten. Because I happened to I was just like looking through it randomly, and I came to ben. And I looked at it, and it's like, okay, they combined like 4 different characters. They said, 4 different like monster characters in terms of stroke count. Very complicated characters, and they're like, okay, fuck this. We're just gonna make them all ben. They're all pronounced that way anyway. We're just going to take out the extremely complicated middle bit, and we're going to leave this to future generations to wonder how these things could all be one character.
この諸橋大緩和にもさ、冠が一番最初に来てたわけじゃん。はい。冠なんじゃない？怖いイメージ。いけそうじゃね？だってさ、花びらはめっちゃそうじゃん。花の冠じゃん、花びらって。花にとっての冠みたいなもんでしょ、あれ。はい。わきまえてたり分けたりするのってその偉い人の仕事だから、冠かぶったやつができるし、弁論とかもさ、偉い人がスピーチしたりするから。
So he's trying to bring them all together under the roof of a hat, possibly, or a thing that is put on top of something.
さっきの裁判所の話どこに急に精度が上がった。
Whatever happened to the courtroom talk? Because the first version he tried to come up with to bring everything together was that it all had something to do with courtrooms. And he was not impressed with his own explanation by the end of it.
説は捨てます。
捨てました。
あれはダメです。
He's like, I've already been that.
すべてのものが派生していったと。
いけそうじゃない？
核のイメージは冠だと。答え言っちゃうとですね、違って。
違うんだ。
はい、核のイメージは、なんと、ありません。
Yeah, there is no core image.
話違うぜ。いつもそうじゃなかったじゃん。核のイメージこれですって言って、確かにそうだねって納得するやつだったじゃん。
来上がるってイメージから、跳ねるとか、バネとか、泉とか、春が出てくるんだ、気持ちいいっていう。
で、やろうとしてたのよ、俺。これだったんだっていう驚き待ちだったのに。
はいはい。全く存在しないです。
ないんすか？やだー。
でもこれ、トライ用によって面白くて、なぜ？
Yeah, because sometimes, what Horimoto-san was just saying is, sometimes, when somebody actually explains to you what the core image is that brings together a whole bunch of meanings, it's this amazing moment. This light bulb goes on. It's like, holy shit, that actually does make sense. I see where they got that. And in this case, it does not exist. Yeah, in other words, they created a magical bushu that ties the same sounding characters together. Exactly. That is what happened. And hopefully they're going to show, I'm sure they will, what I'm talking about when I say that these were all monster characters that they just decided to merge.
核のイメージが存在しない。
I mean, by no means the most complicated kanji, but way more complicated than what they came up with.
犠牲を持っているのかって。
確かに。
問い直すと不思議ですよね。
あれですかね。やたら多角化経営するベンチャー企業って核ないじゃないですか。ああいうことなんですよね。
例えばどこか浮かんでますか？今さ。
メタプラネット。
いやメタプラネットはね、主力事業であるビットコインの保有。
それ事業じゃないのよ。ビットコイン買ってるだけだからあれ。じゃあ美容の会社が何なんでしょあれ。
さ怒られるのお前みたいなやつは。ここからはなぜその弁の字はいろいろな意味があり、それらの大元となる核のイメージがないのかっていうのを説明をするんですけど、ちょっとね、小型。
So now we get the real explanation.
時点。今、新明解が手元にあるんで、新明解の弁の字、記述ちょっと見てみましょうか。
はい、一番最初に。
Okay, we're looking at another dictionary. 一番最初によくわからないことを書いて。
よくわかんないこと書いてあるな。
なんて書いてあります？
政治はこの字みたいなの書いてありますね。
Oh, okay, so here we go. It's explaining what the actual proper original kanji is, and is that thing that you see just over Mizuno-san's left arm. Just on the edge of the laptop is what the actual original character was. And already way more complicated than than what they ended up with Ben. I think this is possibly the most radical simplification, or one of the most radical simplifications that they did post-war.
なんかやたら見たことない字書いてありますね。
見たことない字だね。怖っこの字。
で、その字。
Seiji, yes, he's saying he's never actually, the term he is also something he's never heard of. Seiji. Actually, I don't think I've heard it either. But it's like the proper, it's Se as in proper, like Seiji. So the proper original character.
の後に何て書いてあるんですか？
一番良いもの、理屈に合っているものとそうでないものとを区別する。
はい。
弁別とかですね。
そうですね。2番目には何て書いてあるんですか？
何かのように当てる。弁当、弁済、弁償。で、その後2番、政治はこれって言ってまた別の字が出てきてる。
Yeah, here we go. So, a different character. And this one has koto in the middle. Like, the kanji for word is in the middle radical. So it's the same. The edges are the same. The, on either side are the same. But the bit in the middle changes each time.
で、こういう事情である。理屈から言うと、これこれでなければならぬということを相手に負けずに言う。弁解、弁護など。
よくわかんないけど、政治は何とかって書いてあって。
書いてあるね。
やたら難しい字が書いてありますよね。書いてあるね。これがね、解決の肝なんですね。
ほう、
解決の肝。There is a useful expression. Japanese likes to use the liver a lot in expressions. So, 解決の肝. Literally, the liver of the solution is like the core of the solution, the foundation of the thing. And if you want to say somebody is quite bold or arrogant, you say daitan. They have like a big liver. And if you want to say you're going to remember something and really commit it to memory, kimo ni mejiru, which is to like engrave it on your liver, which being soft tissue would not work, but it would hurt. I guess it would be memorable in that sense. I do not want to know how somebody came up with that originally.
政治って。
誰は何を肝に銘じられちゃったのかって知りたくねえんだ。でも実際はちょっとだけ知りたいという気持ちもあるけど。
のは国が定める正しい字体のことで、一般的には中国のね、後期辞典っていう漢字の辞典に採用された字体とされてるんですけど、ざっくりその国が正しいとした字体だと思ってください。
なるほど。
で、この政治は〇〇って書いてあるのはどういうことを言ってるかというと、もともとはこの字だったんですけど、ある時期に国が僕らが今知ってる弁の字を定めたので合流しました、そこに。
Yeah, here we go. They got merged.
っていうことを言ってるんですね。
もうだから、もともとは違う字だったけど、今後はこの弁護士の弁で書きましょうってなった。
そうです。まさにそういうことで、正しいか正しくないか分けるみたいな字は、辛いっていう字を書いて、カタカナのリ書いて、それをまた辛いで挟むっていう、辛いでダブルパンチみたいな。
めっちゃ辛そうなリでしたね。すっごい辛い状態にあるリ。
You see, the original radicals on the sides of it, both it is tsurai, which is like painful or difficult, or also spicy if you pronounce it differently. And there are two of them, and in the middle something is being squozed.
そうですね、そのつらりのやつはわきまえるって意味を持っていた。で、次につらいにうりを書いて、さらにつらいで挟むっていう。
Yeah, so another totally different one.
つらうりがいました。つらうりは花びらっていう意味を持っていて、でポイントはつらりとつらうり、形ほぼ一緒なんですよね。真ん中の部分がりなのかうりなのかの違いであったと。
パッと見の印象はかなり似てたね。
そうですね。そして最後、つらいを言うっていうね。
Yeah, and in this one, the middle thing is words or speech.
弁の、言うで挟む弁があって、じゃあ、つらごんにしましょうか、こいつ。つらごんが述べるって意味で、 弁解とか弁護とか弁舌っていう意味を持っていた。
なるほど。言いたいことが完全に分かりましたね。だからコアイメージなんてもともとなくて、全く違う字だったものが合流しちゃったから多義語になったってことだ。
そういうことなんです、ね。
困るね。全然違う字まとめちゃまずくない？
そう。
困ります。
そうなんですよ。
無能だったってことですよね。まとめたやつが。
その歴史的な経緯の話今からしますから、ちょっと待っといてください。今。
He's gonna talk about. Okay, he's gonna get into the actual history beyond. Okay, now I'm kind of curious. I can see what the thinking was to a certain extent because obviously that's way simpler. But I mean, there are more complicated. On the other hand, there are more complicated kanji that are in the Joyo Kanji Hyo. So.
堀本さんがおっしゃったように、何してくれてんねんっていう知識人もいました。
あ、やっぱそうなんだ。
はい。そもそも。
Apparently there were intellectuals who were like, what the hell are you doing with us?
戦前からですね、漢字多すぎねっていう風潮があったんですね。
昔の字いっぱいあるよな、なんか。
いっぱいありますね。
難しいな。
Even before the war, there were people who were already saying there are just too many kanji.
旧字体とかね、すごい。
And you have to consider, like, I mean, which is really impressive. Really, just you have to stop and think about that, because as you know, as people who learned it as a second language, it was like there are way too many fucking kanji. They're like 1,000. You know, you got to know 1,800 to be like basically literate and everything. Before the war, it was way more than that. Like this is what they reduced it to. Before 1945, it was significantly more.
多かったりするし、それから漢字廃止論っていうね。
ああ、はいはい、聞いたことある。
漢字なんてなくなってしまえというような風潮もあったんです、ね。
前島ひそかとか言ってた？
そうですね、前島ひそか。
郵便の父ですね。
はい、が言ってましたね。
The father of the postal service wanted to get rid of kanji altogether.
で、これがね、戦後になってから本格化するんですね。はい。非常にざっくり言うと、識字率を上げたいっていうことと。
God, I'm so glad that what was his name? Maejima, that his idea of getting rid of kanji did not prevail because that would make Japanese really fucking hard to read. Even harder to read than having kanji. Because then you would have no guide to what any of these things mean, and so many of them are pronounced the exact same way.
するんですね。はい。非常にざっくり言うと、識字率を上げたいっていうことと、教育の効率化をしたいとかっていう目標から、画数が多くて複雑だった漢字の数を減らして、最終的には漢字を廃止しようと。
おお、段階的な廃止。
そう。
a gradual abolition.
で、1946年に、東洋漢字表という、漢字のリストが制定されたんですね。東洋っていうのは、当たるに用いる。つまり、当面用いる漢字のリストだったんです。
Okay, so that was the first list.
必死に向かっていってるわけだ。
そうです。やっぱり敗戦したタイミングでこんないっぱい
肉 and 月。Nikuzuki, as a radical, yeah.
字を覚えてるから悪いんだ。民主化するためには音だけを表現した字、アルファベットがそうですよね。ああいう字を、そう、表文字を使うのが。
I remember actually, this is reminding me, I happened to find a search engine that was the transcripts, the verbatim Hansard of the imperial diet. So the parliamentary debates pre-1945 in Japan. And I just decided to kind of just randomly look at different days that they had just to, see what was in there. And one was some MP, I do not remember his name, was actually proposing to switch entirely to Romaji. To switch entirely to the Latin alphabet in Japanese. And, I mean, speaking of, like, really disastrous idea, yeah, I mean, totally, another bullet was dodged right there, I would say.
いいのであって、漢字は標語文字っていうふうに、語を示すような文字だとか言われますけど、標語文字なんか使ってちゃいかんと。はい、GHQ の影響とかもあって、漢字が多いから民主化しなかったんだみたいな、そういう論もあったんですね。ここで、
So the GHQ, the US like occupation headquarters, actually thought that the amount of kanji was like why things had not democratized.
弁の字が、先ほど言った、つらりのやつと、つらうりのやつと、つらゆうのやつが、全部、冠の意味を指す弁の字に合流させようと決めたんですね。
難しすぎて多いから、間引くために全部一緒にしちゃったと。
そうですね。あと、実際、カジュアルな場所とかだと、冠の弁の字、で、略して使われたっていう実態が。
Oh, okay. So people were actually already doing this, like, in the field. So this didn't come completely from nowhere. People were already just doing this.
なるほど。
ただ、まあ、公的な文書とかではちゃんと漢字を分けていたと。それを内閣がもうまとめちゃいましょうという風にしたのが、この東洋漢字、誕生だったんですね。
俺、それで言うとさ、完璧の壁ってさ、壁じゃないじゃん。
はい。
壁じゃない？
玉ですね、下
が
あ、違う。そうだな、玉。
じゃなくて玉になってるじゃん。
はい。
あれ合流させた方が良くないってずっと言ってるんだけど。合流しないのあれ。
まず、完璧の意味自体は、火の打ちどころがない綺麗な玉っていう宝石のことですよね。
意味としてはずれちゃってるね、壁にしちゃう。
Okay, I did not know about this one.
と、ずれるからなってないんだと思うんだけど、
はい。
もうでも実態としてさ、合流させた方が良くない？
みんな結構書き間違えてますもんね。
そうだよね。
完璧の璧の字を。イメージとしてはだからそういうことで、人々が完璧な。
Okay, like, I had absolutely... this is one of those where I don't think I've ever actually written the, handwritten kampeki. Which means perfect. Ironically, the word for perfect, the characters for the word for perfect, are commonly mistaken. Because they look so much like a different character that is read the exact same way.
壁の字を岩壁みたいなね、壁の字で書いているので、もう玉の方の壁を壁の方の壁と合流させましょうみたいな感じに。
Not only that, like a lot of meaning would have been lost, and then also just think about trying to work out where one word begins and another ends. Like, kanji provide a word dividing function. In fact, that's why in Korean, when they got rid of hanja, of Chinese characters in the in their ordinary usage, they also divide words up. Although they already had spaces between words, thinking about it. If you go back and you read older Korean, they still had spaces there, even when they were using hanja. So that makes it a little bit more user-friendly. But Japanese, where everything is written together anyway, I mean, the kanji really help you decide what goes together and what doesn't.
さんの今の意見が1940年代とかに言ってたら、そうなってた可能性は全然あると思いますね。
生まれるのが遅かったな。その運動に参加したかったぜ。
はい。なので、ここまでの話まとめると、全然違う由来を持っていたそれぞれの字を1個の、画数の少ない字体に合流させたと。だから、漏らし大漢和が書いてることって悪くなくて、これ今4巻には冠の弁が載ってたんですけど、10巻を引けば全ての弁、他の弁も載ってるんですよ。
そうなんだ。4巻と10巻にバラバラに弁が出てきてる。
そうですね。
あ、そうなんだ。
部首が違うので。
はえー。
例えばここに、言うがつらい。
Okay. I always see this. Okay, there are multiple weird-ass kanji that I've never seen. Actually, all of these, other than ben, are totally new. Wait, okay. Isakau, iarasou. あ、それも、し。あ、き。か、辛い。見えたことねえ感じばっかし。
に挟まってる弁は載ってるんですよね。で、意味もすっごいいっぱい載ってるんですけど、例えばこの5番に解く、語るとか載っているから。
弁護士の弁ってことですかね。
そうですね。だから、本来、U が挟まってた方の弁の熟語が、この大漢和に載ってるので、
なるほど。
弁解とかここに載ってますね。
証を立てる。
あ、本当だ。そうか、俺、弁解って弁護士の弁の字でしか見たことなかったけど、昔はこうだったんだ。
そうなんです。昔は U の方で書いていたんですね。
なるほどね。
OK。
本当だ、弁護士も載ってんじゃん、ちゃんと。これだっ
定の資格を有し、訴訟副次者って聞いたことねえ、これ。から頼まれ。あ、当事者じゃなく、副じゃなく、当事者だ。Oh, this is 旧字体. No wonder. I was like, wait a second. That looks like 副. That is 当. That is the old 当たり。から頼まれ、または裁判所の命令により、裁判所で法律規定の弁護事務を行う人。Okay, so this is an old dictionary actually, because it is using the old character forms as well in the definitions.
たんだ弁護士って。
そう。
怖っこいつ。
え
でこの字のやつ怖くない仕事。
弁護士
名刺にこれ書かれてたら、なんか殺されるんじゃねえかと思って。
画数多すぎて。
マジで。怖ってなるよ、俺こいつの弁護士。
He's like, well, it would be scary to have this on your business card.
断るもん、こいつの弁護。
もっと言うと、例えば、弁護士に職業で、弁理士って、
はいはい、特許とかね、知的財産のことをやる人ですよね。
はい、ありますけど、弁護士は U で書きますね。
うん。
で、弁理士も U で書くこともあるんですが、カタカナの理の方で書くこともあって。弁理士の弁理の方は。
弁護士の弁と弁理士の弁違う字で書くことあるの？
U だったら両方いける。
Wait. The ban for patent attorney is not the same as the ban for just for lawyer?
ですけど、カタカナの理だと弁理士の方にしか使えないとか。
あんなに似た仕事なのに？
そうですね、諸橋大緩和には弁護にはカタカナの理の方は載っていないので、扱いが完全に一緒とは言えないですね。
ちょっとあまりに難しすぎるな。弁護士。
Yes. I'm gonna drop this link in chat for anyone who wants to see the whole thing. That is, I never would have. Okay, I knew that there were these different kanji that were merged, but I never would have guessed that bengoshi and bendishi were a different ban.
ちょっと弁理士なんていう似たようなさ、法律関係の仕事でさ、弁違ったらパニックになるね。
そうなんですよね。みんな書き間違えますよね、多分ね。
そうだね。
あとちょっと説明省いたんですけど、辛いを両サイドに書いて、真ん中に糸を書いたやつ。これが弁髪の弁の本来の字。
まあだからまた違う字だね。
そう。だから正確に言うと、カタカナのリ、ウリ。
So this is all of the kanji that got merged together to ban. Which is the kanji itself that they ended up using as the final form. And then we have ri in the middle, we have tsume in the middle, we have koto in the middle, and then we have ito in the middle. And so 5 of them were merged, and this is why ban does not make any sense. Why there is absolutely no unifying thread, because there just isn't one.
糸。そして、冠っていう意味の部弁の弁の全部が合流したのが、今我々が学校で習ってる弁の字なんですね。
すごいね。大合併だね。
そう。
平成の大合併の時の市区町村ぐらい合併するじゃん。
そうですよ。
一斉にね、埼玉市とかね、5個ぐらい合併して、できたよな。そういう感じですよね。
そうですね。で、しかもその理由が、手書きの省略って実態はあったんだけれども、根拠多分時系が似てるからってことですよね。
そう。
Wait, there was some sort of big territorial merger in the Heisei period in the
ね、辛いで挟んでるやつは、
What, like Saitama didn't used to be all one.
全部これでええやんっていう風になってたわけだから、言うなれば、猫って2個とか下戸とかと発音似てるから、全部猫でよくねみたいな。
よくないよくない。下戸と混ぜたらまずいだろ。酒飲めない人とニャーニャー泣く生き物混ぜたらまずいだろ。
もうね、酒いっぱい飲む人のこと上ばみって言ったりしますからね。
ああ、確かにヘビも出てきちゃった。もうパニックだね。
でもそんなようなことを戦後に一気に推し進めたんですね。
そしてくしくも、それ市区町村の合併の理由と一緒だよね。 市区町村もさ、いっぱい分かれててさ、こことここ一緒に担当した方がコスパ良くねってなってまとめたわけじゃん。うん。だから、同じようなこと人類は何回もやってますね。
そうですね。あと、
Okay. It is time to wrap up, and before we go, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who joined in. I'm going to drop the link for the Discord for anyone who isn't already in there and wants to join, since we had some new people. Hang on just a moment while I get that. Also, I am up to 600 out of 1500 on my current Punto Final project fundraising goal. If anyone wants to contribute to that, you can do so at the link I am dropping in chat. All contributions are beautiful. There are also gift subscriptions available to my Patreon, because basically just a friend of mine accidentally bought a whole bunch of them. And if you want one of those, here's where you can go to redeem them. For anyone who's interested in the latest translations in the Punto Final project, you can find them at this next link. And with that, have a good rest of your weekend. I will be back at 4:30 p.m. on Friday, U.S. Eastern Time.